Insane in the membrane. Is Lori Vallow actually mentally insane and unable to aid in her own defense? Today, we're going to take a look at the state law in the state of Idaho 18-211, and we're also going to take a look at where Lori Vallow is going to be sent off to and what an hour-by-hour breakdown of an inmate there at the state mental hospital is like. And we'll see if it's something that, is there a chance that Lori is going to get away with these crimes altogether? So thank you for joining me today. Let's jump right on into it. Under Idaho State Law 18-211, there are three separate competency levels. These are the levels. Level 1, and this is actually written underneath state law. Level 1 is restorative level, meaning that someone may be going through a crisis at this point and they can be brought back to a sanity, or a level where they can aid in their own defense. Lori Vallow is currently listed as a level 1. According to the psychiatrist who actually talked to her during her actual evaluation. This report that was actually put together is the reason why Mr. Wood, the prosecuting attorney in the case, has decided not to go forward and contest it because she was listed as a level 1, that she could be restored back to a level with medication and therapy to aid in her own defense. Level 2 is non-restorative care or level, meaning that she would never be able to be restored to a level where she could aid in her own defense. And level 3 means there is nothing wrong with the individual at this point. Now, you can have all the bizarre conspiracy theories, and religious beliefs that Lori may have with Chad, but it does not mean that you are mentally incompetent to aid in your own defense. They need to restore her to the point where she understands the consequences and the severity of the actual charges that are levied against her at this point, not only in the state of Idaho, but in Arizona as well. They cannot ship you off to another state and say, look, we have these charges here, but we have them in another state as well. You're not competent to stand trial here, but we'll ship you off to Arizona, and then you can try to fight your way out of those murder charges as well. But at this point, Lori Vallow is a level 1, meaning that they believe that she can be restored back to a level where she can aid in her own defense. And quickly, I would like to dispel a mistake that a fellow YouTube channel that I greatly admire made on a recent video this past week. That YouTube creator said that there was a defense of mental insanity in the state of Idaho. The state of Idaho does not have a defense of mental incompetency. The state of Idaho has no defense for innocent by reason of mental defect or insanity. They're one of only a couple of states that do not have that as an actual defense. In the state of Idaho, if you were found to be mentally incompetent and never be able to aid in your own defense, they just put a hold on the entire case. It doesn't go forward. It doesn't go away. The charges are always going to be there, but they put them on hold. In Lori Vallow's case, what they will do is they're going to ship her off to the state mental hospital. And that stay there is for, at the minimum, 90 days. 90 days from now, they will evaluate her again, and they will say, look, this is where we believe you are. Now with medication and therapy and everything else, if she is restored, they will ship her back to the actual jail, and she will sit there, and then the trial will go forward as if there had been no delay at all. In the meantime, Chad's case is going to keep on rolling down the line. And because they are married in the state of Idaho, she does not have to take the witness stand or testify in any way at all against Chad. nor can Chad testify against her, since they are married in the state of Idaho. That is against the state Idaho Constitution. But she will go there for 90 days. If they find that she has been restored to aid in her, to a level where she can aid in her own defense, then the case will go forward from there. Otherwise, if they believe that she hasn't been restored to a level she can aid in her own defense, they will then sign what's called an extensive order. An extensive order is 13-21542. That is an extension of the actual stay order there at the state mental hospital. And that will extend the stay out for another 180 days from that point. So she had the 90, then another 180 days. Unless she is really, truly mentally insane and there's something that is definitely wrong with her brain, that we're to the point where she cannot be restored with medication and therapy, she will be back within 90 days to actually stand trial for the charges that she currently has against her. Right now, experts who are watching this case and have previewed it do not believe that it will take anything more than a year at the maximum to restore her to at a level where she can aid in her own defense. Hypothetically, let's look at it this way. If she does the 90 days and then they file the order to extend it for 180 days and they find her not to be able to aid in her own defense again, they will then file another order to extend it another 180 days. And this keeps on happening over and over again until she's actually able to aid in her own defense. There is no getting away from it. The charges never go away. So she's not going home anytime soon at all. Where will Lori Vallow be going? Lori Vallow will not be going to the state mental hospital in Moscow. She will be sent off to the state mental hospital number 2 at 300 Hospital Drive, Orofino, Idaho, 83544. So if you would like to write Lori Vallow a letter or send her a birthday card or a Christmas card, you can write to her at that address. The closest major city to the mental hospital there is in Lewiston, Idaho, and I wouldn't call it maybe a major city, it's a larger city. But that's the closest area. And the geographically, it's pretty close to the same type of tundra and open area as where she was with Chad on his farm there in the Salem, Rexburg, Idaho area. It's foresty, but there is quite a bit of outdoor area for inmates. The huge property where there's even walking paths. It's not uncommon for deer and other animals to be seen on the grounds of the actual state hospital there. There are outdoor recreation things for inmates, but those who are there within their first 90-day hold, most of them are not allowed outdoors at all during that first initial 90-day hold. The day-to-day life is basically sleep, bathing, recreation, treatment, and and dining. That's it. When it comes to personal effects, that each and every inmate who, and they are inmates technically, underneath the state of Idaho, either they've been committed by the state there on a permanent basis, or they have been sent there from the courts. There are only a few here and there that come into the facility who are there but who check themselves into the facility. Most of those who check themselves in are stabilized and then sent off to other facilities, but they don't stay there at the state mental hospital itself. 10 hours a day while she is awake is structured therapy, group, medication, and she will be on what they call a one-on-one. Either a nurse or a peer will be with her all the time. Every moment she is awake for those 10 hours, she will have either a nurse or someone from a peer from the hospital itself, somebody who's going through the same thing, someone who has the same mental health defect. Somebody will be with her at all times, and this includes, but excluding. I want to make sure that's clear. Excluding bathing in actual time that using the restroom. Now they will go into the restroom with them, but not into the actual stall. I know I'll get people who will want to know why would they go into the bathroom with them. It's to make sure they don't do any self-harm. And when they go to shower, a nurse goes into the actual shower room with them and will sit and wait for them to make sure that they do not harm themselves while in the shower itself. Suicide rates in state mental hospitals are extraordinarily high. Exactly 6 times the rate of what it is out here in the general public. This is the hour by hour breakdown for somebody who is actually there at the state hospital in Orofino. 7 a.m. they wake up and they're counted. At they come out of their room. They're not locked in their room, but they can come out of their room, and at it's 7:10 somewhere in there. They can stop by the nurse's station and they can grab themselves a cup of water to make tea, or they can grab themselves a pre-made coffee that's already done in actual industrial size, like coffee pot. By 7:15, they do medication at the nurse's station. Lori will be on mandatory medication while she is there. If she refuses, they will get a state order, court order to actually condone her, to make her want to take the medication itself. Lori will be on mandatory medication while she is there, and she will receive her medication at 7:15 a.m. every morning. Now, if she refuses to take her medication for any reason at all, they will get a court order and actually force her to take her medication. If she doesn't take it, even then, she will be hospitalized and handcuffed to an actual bed and sent off to another place where she will then spend her 90 days restoratively in a hospital bed. Yeah, she doesn't want to go that route, and some people actually do it though. They try to force the state's hand by saying, "Look, you can't make me competent to stand trial. I'm not going to take your medication. You can't make me do this." So they actually force them by that way, or they put them in a hospital and then they put it into them through an IV or some other means. They get it into them. But anyways, back to her actual schedule. 7:20 a.m. Approximately 7:20, 7:30 a.m. is breakfast time. She has breakfast. They serve anything from grits and oatmeal to cold cereal to pancakes. It's nothing luxurious. It reminds you, if you grew up in the United States, it would be close to what you may see in a county jail or a other facilities like that. It's brought in already pre-cooked. All it has to be done is warmed up by staff and then served in a banquet pan. It is not cooked on site. They have no actual kitchen on site to actually cook anything. They're at the hospital in Orofino. Again, it is cooked off-site and brought in warmer containers and then served to the actual inmates themselves. At 8 a.m., after breakfast and medication and showering and getting cleaned up, all of that happens between 7 and 8 o'clock in the morning. At 8 a.m., the assignment for the day. She will be on that first 90 days. It's all about structure and trying to restore her to a level she can aid in her own defense. So her schedule is going to not vary at all. It's going to be pretty much, this is what you have to do. These are where you need to be at these times. So they will not change her actual schedule very much. But for those who are there for a longer stay, or those who are on the 180-day schedule, their schedules may change from time to time. But again, those from the first 90 days who are there on that whole by the court are, they're very, very rigid on their schedules, and they don't want to change it at all. All right, so at 8 o'clock, she'll get her assignment for the day. At 8:10, she needs to be where she her assigned group is. So it's group meetings with a therapist and her peers. So other people who are there in the hospital who may be going through the same thing that she's going through, competency wise, they will all meet in a group setting, and they will have a therapist and a couple of doctors, psychiatrists who are there to help everyone, aid them back to a level of competency, get through the crisis that they're dealing with, or whatever it is that sent them there in the first place. 9 o'clock is journal writing and reading. It's not reading and just anything you want. They don't read the Bible or the Mormon Bible or anything like that at all. Religious doctrine is very restricted. She can do that on her free time, but not during the times when she is supposed to be in group or with other inmates. And inmates peers. I call them inmates because most of them are there because they are the award of the court that has sent them there to be restored and have to be brought back to a restorative level. Okay, 9:45, medication and meetings of wellness is how they word it. So they give them the medication. Again, if those who need it, if you're going to see this over and over again throughout the day, and she will see it over and over again throughout the day. Medication is one of the things that they want to, they're going to push it to you. If you refuse, again, then there's the next level, court order. Then next level is hospitalization, where they will force these medications down you. Because you're there because of the court. But they call it a meeting of wellness. Now, during the meeting of wellness, they will put in the initial part of those wellness meetings, they will put together a program for her where she, to structure her free time, where she is actually working on herself and working on getting better for herself. This could be everything from they'll sign her up for meditation classes. Yes, that's an option, meditation. Or it could be interacting one-on-one in small groups with crafts. It's something to try to help them alleviate the stress and pain that they are going through. We all know Lori's probably, faking it all because she's a massive manipulator and narcissist. So, but they'll figure this stuff out really quick, and it's not going to take them very long once she initially gets there to figure out if she is really making this up, if she is mentally insane, or if she is, and unable to aid her own defense, or if she has just read something in a book and she's repeating it, vomiting it back to them, so she's actually been listed as mentally insane. But they're not fools there. There's a lot of doctors and a lot of therapists and a lot of other people who are there who are going to catch on really quickly. And this is all they deal with, ladies and gentlemen. They will catch on really quickly if she's really faking it or not. Okay, so she has her wellness meetings, and then later on, after they've come up with a plan, she will then do her actual wellness activities. Maybe it's jigsaw puzzles, maybe it's arts and crafts, maybe it's meditation, whatever it may be. And there's probably going to be 2 or 3 different ones that she will actually be assigned to, that for wellness, body and wellness, as they call it. 10:30 to 12 noon is free time. They're not allowed. Now, we are up at 10:30, 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Nowhere in there at all is she allowed to call anyone. No free time to make phone calls, no cell phones, nothing at all in that aspect at all. So if she thought she could go there and she'd get a cell phone and be able to call Chad, not going to happen, Lori. And there are less access to freedom and movement and within the jail, but there she's restricted to a very sterile environment. Everything is muted color wise. They're trying to restore people who are mentally incompetent back to competency. So there's no television that she's going to be able to watch. There's no television in her room, no radio at all. These things that she had in jail are gone. She's not going to get them in the state mental hospital at all, because certain music, certain television shows, and things like that can upset a lot of patients in a really quick way. And as some patients get agitated and upset, it upsets even more. So if they don't want these things, there is one room in the entire state hospital there where she will be going at in an Orofino, where they have a television, and it is closely monitored and restricted on what the inmates patients actually watch. They don't watch, cops. They don't watch, the news. They don't watch, certain programming. They keep it to the Nature Channel. They keep it to National Geographic, things like that that are, not going to excite the patients or upset a lot of patients. But again, from 10:30 to 12 noon, she has no access, still no access to a telephone, no television at all until 12 noon. 12 noon is lunchtime. Lunchtime and medication time is, right there. Either they're getting their medication, maybe they need to take their medication with food, so they will get their medication before they go to lunch. And the lunches are served in the same day room area, as there's not a separate lunch room and a separate day room area. They get their lunches, they're brought to them, they sit down, they eat them. They're in the actual day room area where they all have the rest of their activities, and they will sit wherever they want. They're not in an assigned seating area. It's if they get their meal, they sit down, they eat it, and that's it. Another meal, but they don't get kosher meals and certain like that unless there's a restriction because of dietary needs, like it has to be a low sodium. There are people who are on certain restrictions that way, or maybe it's other things like that. So now she's done with lunch. She's been medicated. She now has what they call recreational therapy group. And these are two that go back and forth. It's either recreational therapy or group, or it's group or recreational therapy. So they split the inmate, patients off into smaller groups, and these are groups of 4 to 6 individuals in the actual group, and they will have group therapy. Then they will have a recreational time where maybe they will go outside and play badminton, or maybe they will all do puzzles as a group. They have to work together as a group on an actual project or an actual recreational thing. It's not like, well, I want to go, do this, or I want to go do that. Nope, you are structured in this during this time frame. From 1 to 2 o'clock every day, you must work with your peers on it. You have therapy together, then you have an actual, a project that you all must work on. After that is done, at 3 o'clock, they have what's called educational therapy. And the educational therapy, I wasn't able to find a lot of information on, but it basically breaks down to they give them information on how to make proper decisions within their lives. What sent them there in the first place? Okay, maybe it was this that led you down that path, or here's why the mind thinks this way, or this is why your brain thinks this way or operates this way. That's educational therapy, and she will do that one-on-one with an actual therapist or a nurse. It does not say on the actual state website which one it is. It has a little asterisk that says either a therapist or a nurse. So that is at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 o'clock is visitation for those who are allowed visitation. She does not get visitation within the first 90 days that she is there. No visitation at all for those who are on their in the first 90 days there. If she's extended, and they do file that 180-day extension, at that point later on, she can get visitation, but no visitation within the first 90 days that she is there. But that at 4 o'clock, while other people are having visitation from 4 to 5 o'clock, she has they call it restorative free time. She can read, she can journal, she can do puzzles, she can walk around the day room in circles, whatever, but she does not get actual visitation in the first 90 days. 5 o'clock is dinner time. At dinner time, it's the same routine as breakfast and lunch. Same process all over again. Meals are brought to them. They serve them their meals, and then they eat, and that's it. They're done. 6 o'clock is closed one-on-one therapy with your actual psychiatrist. The psychiatrists are psychologists that you have been assigned to. One-on-one therapy with them at 6 p.m. Again, if they are on medication that is restorative in nature, or a timed medication that needs to be taken again, they will take that before they go to actual that one-on-one, or they will take it right after. They give them a window of about 10 minutes before or 10 minutes after, so the actual therapy session is about 50 minutes total. 7 p.m. is nighttime meds for those who haven't gotten them, who need them before they go to bed. Maybe if they're on a sleep medication or something along those lines, or if they're diabetic, whatever the reason may be. I mean, if they're diabetic, they're checking their insulin and everything else throughout the day. But if they need medication before they go to bed every night, this is when they will get it at nighttime. Lights out and time to by themselves to reflect. That is exactly how it says it, in the state website itself. Reflection and lights out time. There is an hour and 10 minutes every night at the end of the night before she goes to bed, and this is the only time she is allowed to have her Bible, read the Bible, or have any type of faith, readings, I guess you could say. She is not allowed to have the Bible out. She can't carry it around with her anywhere in the actual, day room or anywhere else. She can't sit and read it in the day room. Nothing. Not during the first 90 days. Things do get a little bit more relaxed if they, if they file the extension for 180 days. But at this point, no, not in the first 90 days. No Bible anywhere, Lori. No religious, pulpiting from the day room. Nothing like that at all is allowed, because they don't know who else is in the day room and how susceptible they would be to actually hear it, or how agitated they will be from actually hearing it. Some of these people who are there are escaping cults, or really oppressive religious leaders, and that drove them to temporary insanity in there. So they're there for their own well-being, so they do not allow this anywhere in the facility. Later on, if they file the extension for the 180 days, like I said, outdoor they do have Batman, they have walking paths, they do not have a baseball field or anything like that. They do have benches they can sit on outside. They do have a basketball hoop that is attached to the actual side of the building. It's only one, it's not a full court, it's like a half court with a circle on it, and that's it for basketball wise. But these are things that have to be done with an actual a nurse or somebody along those lines. They do not allow these things to be done and or be used by a one-on-one individual. If they want to walk, they have to have a nurse or a peer member or a psychiatrist or somebody with them. There are no gates necessarily around the facility. There are, but they're about an acre away. But the deer and everything else get in, so they're not like high, they're like 8-foot fences. They're small fences. So, but they don't allow them outside until they know they're not a harm to the public, in case they are to get away. That's the day-to-day life, and that's where it's at. And again, there is no defense in the state of Idaho for mentally insane. They do not have the option to plead, innocent by mental defect or insanity in the state of Idaho. It's either guilty or innocent in the state of Idaho. If you're mentally insane, they will put you in like this, a system where you will get a restorative care. If you're not able to be restored to a position of aid in your own defense, then you stay there. But you will stay there indefinitely. And in a lot of cases where this is more restrictive than she will ever get in jail. So thank you for joining me today. You stay safe out there.